the usual pillow, something to squeeze between your knees. And I have a band. You could have a yoga belt, something like that. Go ahead, take a moment to mute yourself so you don't accidentally become a YouTube star or make me have to edit so much. And we'll get started. So for tonight's class, again, I do recommend a big clear area, all the usual yoga for abs toys, the pillow, the ball to squeeze between your knees, a band or a belt, some sort of strap. And with your feet apart, turn your toes in, let your knees lean together. You're going to take that ball, squeezable object, couch cushion, whatever you have there, and tuck it between your thighs. So my feet are wide apart as the mat, the toes are turned in, the knees are leaning together, and that ball is between my thighs. I also have a pillow here underneath my head. Take a moment to run your fingers up through your hair to lengthen the back of your neck and give yourself a gentle tuck to that chin. So the back of your neck is nice and long. Your chin is gently tucked. Palms are turned towards the ceiling as you take a shoulder shrug and tuck those shoulder blades underneath you, opening your palms up a little bit more. Bending at the elbows, maintaining that rotation in the shoulders. So the part that has no tan is turned up. You're going to bend your elbows and place those hands on the lower ribs. Notice that those ribs are probably sticking out. So take a big inhale. And as you exhale, tuck those ribs in like you're getting tickled. Inhale again. And exhale, tuck those ribs in. One more time, big inhale. And as you exhale, tuck those ribs in. And then keep your chin tucked, lift your head up and have a look. See where those ribs went. Make sure those ribs are tucked in. And then set your head back down. Back of your neck is long, chin slightly tucked. Fingertips touching those front ribs. Inhale. And as you exhale, tuck your chin, tuck those ribs in and squeeze the ball as you press out all the breath. And inhale, relax. And on your next exhale, tuck your chin, tuck your ribs and squeeze the ball. And inhale, relax. Two more just like that. Exhale, tuck your chin, tuck your ribs, squeeze the ball. And relax. One more time. Exhale, tuck your chin, tuck your ribs, squeeze the ball. And release. All right, take your hands now, fingertips interlaced behind your head, cradling your head in the palms of your hands. Let your head be nice and heavy, your neck nice and long. Elbows stay wide. And let's continue. Inhale. And as you exhale, tuck in those front ribs, tuck your chin, even lift your head up as you squeeze that ball. And inhale, release. Two more just like that. So turning this into a bit more of a crunch. Exhale, tuck your chin, tuck your ribs, squeeze the ball, crunch up and lower down. And one more time. Exhale, do everything all at the same time to come up into your crunch. And release. All right, you're going to reach down, take that ball out, set it aside, but keep it nearby. Keep all your toys nearby, in fact. It's easily accessible. And bring one knee at a time, both knees into your chest. Rock your hips side to side, walking your hips away from your ribs so your lower back, your side waist gets a little bit wider and flatter on the ground. And come to neutral. Set one foot down, set both feet down. Heel toe your feet apart so they're as wide apart as the mat. Turn your knees in, toes turn in, knees lean together. And once again, shoulders shrug underneath. Front ribs tuck in. Begin with an inhale. And as you exhale, tuck your chin, tuck your front ribs, squeeze your thighs together, and push your feet into the floor. Lift your hips up. Now, again, hopefully you have your toys nearby. Your hips are hovering off the floor. You have a ball or a block. Take something and stick it underneath your bottom. And then relax onto it. You've elevated your hips on some support. That means you have to take the pillow out from underneath your head. You only get support under one end at a time, either the hips or the head, not one or the other at the same time. You have to be taking turns. So hips elevated, head down in a hole, toes turn in, knees lean together, fingertips on the front ribs. Inhale. And as you exhale, tuck your chin, tuck those front ribs. Push into your feet as you squeeze your thighs together and get that scooped in, hollowed out belly sensation. and release. If you are unable to tuck your tail, lengthen your lower back, and scoop your belly in, you might want to move your ball or your block a little bit lower down towards your tail. You want that deep crease across your belly. Again, toes are turned in, knees are leaning together. Fingertips can be on your front ribs as you inhale. And as you exhale, tuck your chin, tuck those front ribs, squeeze your thighs together, and pull in that pelvic floor. Make sure that lower belly is tucking in underneath your front ribs. And release. Now, adding on to this, if you are on a ball, it's less stable. It means you have to stabilize a little bit more. If you're on a ball more stable, you get to concentrate on other stuff. So if you're new to this, you might want to concentrate on other stuff and swap that ball out and put a block underneath your butt. Knees are bent, feet are flat. You're going to heel toe wiggle your feet a little closer to one another. You have your band, your belt, your strap, what have you, ready to go. Inhale. And as you exhale, tuck your chin, your head stays on the floor. Tuck in those front ribs, activate those abs, squeeze your thighs together, and bring that right knee in towards your chest. Going to lasso that foot and raise the roof. Take that right leg straight up. Let out enough slack on your belt, your band, your strap, so that that leg is directly over your hips. That leg is vertical, straight up and down. The entirety of the weight of that leg and plugs it into your lower back, into your hips. Inhale. Then pull in that pelvic floor. Squeeze your legs narrow towards midline, like you gotta pee. And if you're ready for it, float that left leg up right alongside the right. Now both legs are straight in the air. Both feet are flexed flat, but only your right foot is in the band. Begin with an inhale. And as you exhale, tuck in your front ribs, tuck in your chin, pull in that pelvic floor, and lower the left leg down to hover in midair, only so far as it's ready to go without changing anything in your back. So that back bottom bra band area is on the ground. And you're breathing. And you're like, okay, something's happening here. After a few breaths, 4, maybe 5 breaths, that left psoas muscle in your hip flexor begins to release, and that left leg can descend down a little closer to the floor without your back ribs coming unstuck. Everything's still squeezing towards midline. Inhale. And once again, exhale, tuck your chin, tuck your front ribs, pull in that pelvic floor and haul that left leg all the way back up. But you're going to slip your left foot in, slip your right foot out. You're just going to switch sides. Take a moment to make sure you've let out enough slack on that belt so the left leg can be straight and also directly vertical, straight over your hips. Both feet flex flat. Inhale. And as you exhale, tuck your chin, tuck your front ribs, pull in that pelvic floor, and let that right leg descend down towards the ground until it hits that natural stopping point where that psoas muscle needs to release. You only really get the psoas to stretch if your abs are engaged. The weight of that leg pulling on that psoas muscle, stretching it, only if you have your abs engaged enough to support your spine in a steady position. You're not letting your back arch. Inhale. And exhale. Tuck your chin, tuck your front ribs, pull in that pelvic floor, and haul that right leg all the way back up. Good. And take that belt, band, strap off your feet. You're going to turn your toes in, cross one big toe on top of the other, and lock your legs straight. Fingertips can be on your front ribs. Inhale. And as you exhale, clear your throat. Tuck those front ribs in. Pull in that pelvic floor. Make sure your heels are out, your big toes are turned in, and let that right leg descend down towards the ground. And exhale, bring it right back up. And exhale, let that left leg descend down towards the ground. And exhale, bring it right back up. Chin is tucked. Front ribs are tucked in. In fact, your fingertips are on those front ribs, reminding you to keep them tucked in as you switch legs. You are exhaling on exertion. So exhale when you move the leg down, and exhale when you bring that leg back up. It does help if you use breath with sound to engage those throat muscles so your neck stays comfortable. And bring it back up. Exhaling on the way down. Exhaling on the way up. Chin is tucked. Front ribs are tucked. Taking a nice, long, slow walk. And bring it all the way up. You're going to bend your knees, set your feet down, 1 foot, 2 foot. Knees are bent, feet are flat, toes turn in slightly. Fingertips are still on your ribs as you inhale. Exhale, tuck your chin, tuck your front ribs in, pull in that pelvic floor, peel your hips up off your ball or your block, whatever you have underneath. Remove it and come on down. Setting your hips down on the ground, it's going to feel like your backside's in a hole. Let's take a moment. Breathe. You're going to let those front ribs release. So you're going to take one leg, take both legs straight out along the floor, extend your arms overhead. Take a nice big stretchy yawn. Feel free to let those ribs stick out. And with your arms extended and legs extended, walk both heels all the way over to the right, as far to the right as they'll go, until they won't go any further, and then hold them in place, crossing that right ankle on top of the left. And as you cross your ankles, zip up your pelvic floor, squeeze your thighs together. Inhale. And as you exhale, reach across with your right hand, pull on that left wrist as you tuck your chin, tuck your front ribs, pull in that pelvic floor, and side stretch. Right hand pulling on the left wrist. Lying flat on the floor, just curving off to the side, making a capital letter C for cookie. And that's good enough for me. So go ahead, come to neutral and walk both heels all the way over to the other side. Both heels go as far to the left as they're willing to go today. And then cross that left ankle over top to hold the right leg down. Squeezing your thighs together, pulling in the pelvic floor, shortening your legs like you're pulling on tight stockings. Reach across with your left hand, pull on your right wrist, and as you exhale, tuck your chin, tuck your front ribs, squeeze your thighs together, pull in that pelvic floor. Take a nice big side stretch, looking like a crescent moon. And release, come to neutral. All right, bend one knee at a time, place both feet flat. If you want to put that pillow back underneath your head, go for it. Fun, especially when you're doing this at home, having a pillow nearby to support your head so you can see the screen is a good idea. Bring one knee at a time, both knees into your chest. So I'm going to use a pillow because I hope you are too, so that you're not straining your neck. Or if you are lifting your head up, you're engaging your throat, like you're clearing your throat to help engage those neck muscles. All right, coming to neutral. So you're rocking from one side to the other, walking your hips away from your shoulders. Coming to neutral. All right. Tuck your fingertips behind your knees. Flex your feet flat. Begin with an inhale. And as you exhale, tuck your chin, tuck your front ribs, pull in that pelvic floor, but then push out through your feet, holding onto the back of your legs. Slowly, slowly, slowly push out through your feet until you come on up to sit. And you get to watch the demo. So as you hang out there, watch the demonstration, watch what's going to happen next. You're going to bring that right knee into your chest. Begin with an inhale, taking that left leg straight. Exhale, tuck your chin, tuck your ribs, lift your head and shoulders up. Straighten that right leg, holding on to it. Turning the inner thigh towards your face, admiring the inseam of your pants. If this is your right leg, take your right hand on the inside of that leg. Left hand comes on down to your belly. Inhale, prepare. And as you exhale, keep all those muscles strong. Open that right leg out to your side. So that's what that looks like. So let's do that together. You're going to come back onto your back, bring one knee at a time, both knees into your chest. Rock from side to side. Transfer both hands over to that right knee. Stretch your left leg straight out along the floor. Inhale. And as you exhale, tuck your chin, tuck your front ribs, pull in that pelvic floor, lift your head up off the ground, and slide your hands to the back side of that right leg, straightening that right leg up. Head and shoulders are still off the floor. Front ribs are still tucked in. Twist the leg so that the inseam of your pant leg is shining towards the midline of your body. You can see it. If that's your right leg, hold on with your right hand on the inside of the leg, or the arch, or the big toe. Prepare with an inhale. And as you exhale, make sure those abs are engaged as you lie down. Open that right leg out to the side. Left foot flexes flat. If I'm holding on to my right foot, right leg, and my left hand is on my belly, I'm going to take that left leg, squeeze it in towards midline, sweep it in narrow. That helps me pull in those abs a little bit stronger. And with that hand on my belly, I can twist my belly to the left, away from that right leg. Maybe you can do that too and fidget your shoulders so they lie a little flatter. And inhale. Exhale. Take your right hand to the outside of that leg and bring it back on up to center. And set both feet down. Knees bent, feet flat. Take a moment to pause here, breathing. And then bring that left knee and your right knee into your chest. You're going to hold on to that left knee. Straighten that right leg. And as you exhale, lower that right leg down to the floor. Inhale. Transfer your hands to the back side of that left leg. As you exhale, tuck your chin, tuck your front ribs in. Hold on to the back of the left leg, straighten the left leg. Make sure your abs are engaged, your front ribs are tucked in, your chin is tucked. As you turn the inner thigh towards your face, take that left hand on the inside of the leg or to the arch of the foot, or you can take your two peace fingers to the big toe. Whatever you want to hold on to is great. Inhale. And as you exhale, lie down, opening that left leg out to the side. So your left hand's holding onto your left leg, right hand's on your belly. That means your right leg is down there not doing a thing. So take that right leg, get it involved in the pose by sweeping it in towards midline. Find your hand on your belly and twist your belly to the right, opening up the distance between belly and big toe. Maybe you can fidget your shoulders so they lie a little flatter. And then come back to center. Set both feet down flat on the ground. Once again, knees are bent, feet are flat as you tick-tock your knees side to side. You're going to pick a side, whatever side it is that faces your screen, and come lie on your side. You might want some padding underneath your elbow, double mat or a pillow of some sort on a mat so it doesn't slide. You're going to bring your knees in towards your chest. Make sure that this right shoulder, depends on which side you're lying on, make sure that shoulder shrugs away from your ear. Ear over shoulder over elbow, everything in a straight line. The other hand can be a kickstand on the floor or on your hip. I'm just going to leave it here so you can see a little bit more clearly that my knees are bent. And I'm going to leave my knees down. As I inhale, exhale, make sure those abs are strong and lift my hips up and put them back down and lift them up and put them down. We're going for 8 of these. Lift up and put down. So you're going slow. It's not a hurry. It's not a rush. Somewhere along the way, you're going to start to feel those obliques, those side abs working. And one more time, I believe this is number 8. You just come on up and hover. Feeling those side abdominals engage. And release. And let's switch sides. So elbow underneath shoulder, shoulder underneath ear, shrug out of it. Knees are bent. Top hand can be on the floor or on your hip. Knees are bent, beginning with an inhale. And as you exhale, pull in those abs, lift those hips up and put them back down. And you're going for a total of 8 of those. Just lifting up and putting back down. Taking a moment to pause and then come down. Make sure your shoulder's out of your ear is out of your shoulder. And you're holding just a split second here at the top to help get those abs to engage. I think we got 2 more. And on this final one, lift and hold. And hold. And breathe. And hold. And come on down. All right. We're going to roll over 2 hands and knees now. You might want to move that pillow underneath your knees so you have some good padding there. Hands underneath shoulders, knees underneath hips, toes curled under. Inhale, head up, tail up for sway back cow. And exhale, arch your back for cat. Inhale, head up, tail up for cow. And exhale, arch your back for cat. Inhale, head up, tail up. And as you exhale, make it an ab thing. Tuck your front ribs, tuck your chin, pull up on that pelvic floor, squeeze your legs narrow, and hover your knees 1 inch off the mat. I'm going to move my pillow out of the way so you can see my knees are floating in midair. And then go ahead and put them down. Inhale, head up, tail up, coming into that sway back cow. And exhale, coming into that cat pose, engaging your abs. Lift your knees up to hover 1 inch off the mat. That's called bear pose, B-E-A-R. And set those knees down. Inhale, head up, tail up. Exhale, arch your back, coming into that cat. Then turn it into a bear by lifting your knees up 1 inch. And come on down. Inhale, head up, tail up. Exhale, cat pose. Knees up for bear. This is the last one, I promise. Because from here, you get to straighten your legs back and turn it into a plank pose. You thought I was going to tell you to put your knees down. No, you're in plank pose. And now you get to put your knees down. Untuck your toes, back your hips up to your heels. From child's pose, once again, come forward, 2 hands and knees. Recommend some padding underneath your knees if you got some bony knees. Because from here, with all 10 toes curled under, you can stretch that right leg straight back. Inhale. Exhale, do your best cat pose in the middle here, pulling your front ribs, pulling your belly. Zip up that pelvic floor. And if that's all working good for you, give me a thumbs up with that left arm. Point your fingers and lift that right heel up level with your pelvis. Squeeze it in narrow towards midline. Remember, we did that one lying down on the floor a few moments ago. Squeezing that leg in towards midline helps you access those core muscles so you can support this pose a little bit longer. And release. Toes are curled under. Inhale, head up. And exhale, arch your back, coming into that cat pose. From cat pose, keep that abdominal engagement as you come to neutral. Stretch your left leg straight back. Abs are nice and strong, pulled in nice and tight. At any moment, you could be asked to float that right knee off the floor, and you would be able to, because your abs are that engaged. But instead, extend your right arm out in front of you, thumbs up, point the fingers. If that's all good, float that left leg up level with your hips and squeeze it in towards midline. So squeezing that leg in towards midline helps you access your core muscles. Guess what? Squeezing that right arm in towards midline also helps you access core muscles, your shoulders, helps you be a little bit more stable in the upper body. And then release. Kind of fun. Let's try that again. Inhale for cow. Exhale for cat. Right leg back. Left arm forward. Abs are strong as you come up off the ground level with your hips. Hand and leg squeezing towards midline. And release. Inhale for cow. Exhale for cat. Shoot that left leg and right arm. Opposite diagonal arm and leg. Squeezing in towards midline. This is tiger pose. Keep breathing, purring in your throat. And release. All right, let's come lie on our bellies. We did the right side, the left side. Now we got to do both sides at the same time. So padding underneath those hip bones as you come lie on your belly. Curl your toes under and shimmy your legs narrow, close to one another. And then untuck your toes, but cross one big toe on top of the other. So one big toe crosses on top of the other. Elbows come underneath your shoulders. Let's talk about what's going on there. With one big toe crossed on top of the other, your toes are in, your heels are out, and you are rotating the thighs, starting at your ankles, so that your inner thighs roll open towards the sky. If you had stripes on the outside of your legs, they would be rolling down towards the ground. Your backside gets pretty broad and flat. If you were to reach back and poke it, it would jiggle because it is relaxed. All right, elbows are again underneath your shoulders. Shoulders are shrugged away from your ears, and you're going to tuck your chin to your chest. With your chin tucked into your chest, pull your shoulders down away from your ears, rub your chin hairs against your chest hairs. So feel this length in the back of your neck. And the length in the back of your neck is not coming from your chest slouching forward. No, it's coming from your neck being long. So shoulders are pulling away from your ears. You're advancing your heart through your elbows. And come to neutral. Good. Arms stretch out in front of you. So your challenge is to remember what the back of your neck feels like when it's long. With your arms stretched out in front of you, prepare with an inhale. And as you exhale, tuck your chin, tuck your front ribs. Give me 2 thumbs up as you float your arms off the ground. And breathe. And if you take those arms off the ground and squeeze in towards midline, you engage some of those chest muscles and you feel a little bit stronger. And release. Make a pillow out of the back of your hands, rest your cheek on it and jiggle. And once again, extend your arms out in front of you. Palms facing one another. If you wanted to put a brick between your hands, you could. Put that ball between your hands, put your cat between your hands, put something between your hands and squish it. Be imaginary. Squeeze your hands in towards midline, shrug your shoulders onto your back, tuck your chin, tuck your front ribs, and press the base of your skull up towards the ceiling. You can begin to squeeze your thighs nice and tight. Squeezing your legs in towards midline, they might also begin to float up off the ground. And release. Jiggle off like jello. Well, those legs want to get involved. So you're going to leave the upper body where it is. You can turn your head to one side, rest your cheek. Big toes are turned in, heels are apart. Locate your right butt cheek, squeeze it nice and tight, and lift your right leg off the floor. And set it back down. And relax. And then squeeze your left butt cheek nice and tight. And lift your left leg off the floor. And put it back down. And squeeze your right butt cheek super tight. Keep squeezing it. Lift that right leg up. And put it down. And squeeze your left butt cheek super tight. And lift the left leg up. And put it down. Squeeze the right butt cheek, lift right leg. And put down. And squeeze left butt cheek, lift left leg. Front of that left hip joint is pushing down into the ground. And release. Squeeze that right butt cheek, lift the right leg, push the front of that right hip joint down. And release. Squeeze left butt cheek, lift left leg, push that pubic bone down, the front of your pelvis down into the mat as you lift that left leg a little bit higher. And put it down. And once more on each side, squeeze that right butt cheek, lift that right leg, push the front of the hip joint, the pubic bone down into the ground. And release. And left side, squeeze left butt cheek, lift left leg, press the front of the hip joint, the pubic bone down into the ground. It's actually the pillow. And release. You notice maybe your upper body wanted to get involved with that. So now you're going to do both legs. So legs come narrow. Once again, one big toe on top of the other. Squeeze both butt cheeks. Press the front of your hip joints down as you lift your legs up. Now you can take your arms out in front. Squeeze that imaginary something. Shrug your shoulders onto the back. Tuck your chin, tuck your front ribs, and lift your upper body off the ground too. You're going to be looking down at the mat as you press the base of your skull towards the ceiling. and release, and jiggle like jello. All of that is preparation for you reaching back and taking hold of your ankles. If your arms don't allow you to just reach back and take a hold of those ankles, you might find that it helps to roll to one side, grab one ankle, then roll to the other, grab the other ankle. Once you get a hold of both ankles, you come back to center. Now your legs are narrow. Try crossing big toes. They might not stay crossed, but try hooking one big toe on top of the other. Really squeezing your shoulder blades narrow, holding on tight to those ankles. Prepare with an inhale. And as you exhale, kick those legs back, pressing the front of your hip bones into the ground. Chin is tucked, pressing the base of your skull up towards the sky. Let your shoulder blades squeeze together on your back. And release. Rock side to side. So learning how to use your abs so that you could stabilize your spine, so that you could stretch your psoas muscle, so that you can engage your back muscles, so that you can come into bow pose a second time. So once again, you're going to keep your legs narrow, shimmy them tight, close together, reach back, take a hold of one, two, one, and then the other, both ankles. Keeping your legs narrow, maybe crossing one big toe on top of the other. Shoulders are shrugged away from your ears, chin tucks, front ribs tuck, even as you kick back. You're pressing the base of your skull up towards the ceiling, kicking back hard. And when you can't kick back any harder, play around with pressing the front of your hip joints, your pubic bone down into the ground. And release. Jiggle like jello. Now that lower body is jiggly and limp and just lying on the ground, doing whatever it wants to do. Let those legs do whatever they want to do. Keep jiggling and jaggling those hips side to side as you bring your elbows underneath your shoulders. If you were to draw an imaginary line connecting your elbows, continue that line off either side of your mat and put your hands on that line. So hands line up with your shoulders. Your backside is still jiggly. In fact, you're going to use that jiggling backside to let you twist your upper body and look over your right shoulder. As you look over your right shoulder, drop the front of the left shoulder down towards the mat. And then come on up, jiggle, jaggle, and let those hips jiggle you as you push that right shoulder down, lift your left shoulder up. And come to center. Let those hips jaggle as you twist a little bit more. And jiggle. And switch sides. So I'm on my second side the second time. And come back up. One more on each side. Let those hips wiggle as you twist. And let those hips wiggle as you twist. And come back to center. All right, I'm going to take this into one of my favorite twists. I'm going to do this with my backside towards you, so the right and left part is a little less confusing, hopefully. So lying down on your tummy, you can have your hip bones on padding. You're going to hike your right knee out to the side. And take it wide. So I look like a letter H backwards, maybe. Captain Morgan, I like to call it. So leg is hooked out to the side. 90 degree at the ankle, 90 degree at the knee, and 90 degree at the hip. In order to get 90 degree at the hip, keeping your spine neutral through the center of your mat, take that top hand down. If your wrist bone touches your knee bone, get up your knee bone. If wrist bone touches knee bone, then you have 90 degree bend at the hip. And that's what you're going for, that 90-degree bend at the hip. And a 90-degree at the knee and a 90-degree at the ankle. This other leg, the left leg, toes are curled under, and you can squeeze that left leg in towards midline. Then relax the toes. Let your hips be heavy. This is one of my absolute favorite twists. And in order to get the most benefit from it, I'm going to come up onto your elbows. Take this left arm underneath, put your left shoulder on the ground. Stack your hands one on top of the other. And then with an inhale, take that right arm across the sky. The highest point of that rainbow, bend the elbow, hands come to your ribs. And with hands on ribs, you're going to tuck in your front ribs, tuck in your chin, pull in that pelvic floor, and continue to roll into a twist. With your chin tucked, your front ribs tucked, that pelvic floor pulled in, rolling into a twist. Right hand on the ribs, helping to rotate your chest. Right hand on the ribs, reminding you to tuck in those ribs. And if you can remember to breathe, inhale and exhale, tuck your chin, tuck in your front ribs, pull in that pelvic floor, shoot the bottom leg, the straight leg, super straight. And release. Then come onto your tummy and we'll reset and do the other side. So do have some toys nearby in case you want to throw a pillow underneath your head or modify this in one way or the other. All right, hiking that left knee out to the side. Ease that left knee a little bit wider. Check to see that that wrist bone touches your knee bone. Maybe bring that knee up a little bit higher. Wrist bone touches knee bone. And heel is kicking off the side. So there's a 90-degree bend at the knee and 90-degree at the ankle. 90, 90, 90, right, right, right. When all is right in the world, pay attention to your right leg. Curl your right toes under and knee toe, work that right leg in towards midline. Kind of like you got a camera pointed up your backside. Pull that leg in narrow. And now come up onto your elbows, locate that right arm, put that right shoulder blade underneath you, stacking your hands one on top of the other. And with an inhale, sweep that left arm across the sky, bringing your hands to your ribs to help you continue rolling on over. With hand on ribs, exhale, tuck your chin, tuck your front ribs, pull in that pelvic floor. See, you get a lovely twist, but also work your abs to control the intensity, the depth, how much you feel this twist. Rather than just kind of being floppy, you're participating in the pose. Speaking of floppy, take that bottom leg and shoot it super, super straight and strong. And then unwind. Come back onto your belly. And from your belly, you're going to back yourself on up to child's pose. Big toes together, knees apart. Hips back over your heels. Now it's the moment you've all been waiting for. It's time for downward facing dog. And you've done so much in preparation for this downward facing dog. I'll walk you through it. I'll talk you through it. So pay attention to your feet. Take your feet for a jog, pedal your feet. And notice that earlier tonight, you did a little toe stretch. And so that helps you jog your feet, maybe work those heels a little closer to the ground. You also did some hamstring stretching. And you released your psoas so that you can pull in your belly and press your heels down at the same time. So go ahead, pull that belly in and work on pressing your heels down at the same time. You're supporting the middle of your back when you do that. And shoulders are shrugged away from your ears, head hanging down between your arms. Fingers spread wide. Then walk your feet all the way up to your hands. Put a bend in your knees, transfer your hands onto your lap, and come all the way on up to standing. Find your blocks. We're going to finish with a pyramid pose and then a revolved triangle, which are wonderful ways to release all that back bending stuff we did earlier. So blocks underneath your hands. If you start at the front edge of your mat and take a giant step back with your right foot, come into pyramid pose. So you notice I've got a nice long stride between my feet. I have blocks directly beneath my shoulders. Arms are like goalposts, straight up and down. My back is nice and flat. I'm going to pick up that back heel and swing the back heel wide. Swinging that back heel wide helps me widen my backside a little bit more. And into that space between my tailbones, I'm going to pull my belly in, tuck my tail down to really staple that back heel down. You can get that back heel straight back. Good. You're stretching your calf muscle as well. You get that 2 for 1. Pulling the front leg as straight as you can, pulling in that lower belly to help staple the back heel down to the floor. And then soften your knees and step forward and step back, switching sides. Hands on blocks directly beneath your shoulders. Nice wide, nice long stride between your feet and some width between your feet. And pick up that back heel, swing the back heel wide. So you dump the pocket change out of that back hip pocket. Pull in that lower belly, tuck your tail, staple that back heel down to the floor. Pulling both legs straight, working towards a flat back. We're doing this for the benefit of the legs. Keep that belly pulled in, keep your back neutral. Stretching out those calves, stretching out those hamstrings so that you have control of your hips. And you can tilt your hips. And in tilting your hips, give yourself a back massage. And soften, step forward. All right, once again, let's all step back with the right foot. Give yourself some length and width between your feet. Pick up that back heel, pivot the back heel wide. Dump the pocket change out of the right hip pocket. Got your left leg in front. I'm going to take your left hand to your left hip and push that left thigh bone back. Push that left thigh bone back hard. I still have one hand on the block here for balance. And in fact, I'm going to start to turn towards the front leg. Get the camera. As I push back hard on this left thigh, turn to look over your left leg. Swinging your left inner thigh up against your right inner thigh. So far, so good. If you're feeling stable and strong, you can lift that left arm in the air. And unwind. Step forward, step back, switching sides. So I step back with my left foot. So as long as you know where your left foot is, you'll be good. You pick up that back left foot, swing that left heel a little bit more to the left, dump the pocket change out of your left hip pocket. Leave your left hand down on the block as you take your right hand to the front leg and push that front thigh bone back so that your right butt cheek squeezes up against your left inner thigh. Again, that left hand is on a block directly beneath your shoulders, and your shoulders shrug away from your ears as you begin to rotate your chest. So we built the pose from the floor up. As we continue to twist, anchor that back heel as close to the floor as you can. When you feel stable and strong, you can extend that right arm in the air. Revolved triangle pose. And release. And you get to step forward. Just in case you were squeezing something that wasn't your abs, you're going to take your feet as wide apart as your mat. Come on down and cop a squat. Your knees don't like to bend this way. You can take some blocks, tuck them underneath your sit bones, take some of the load off. If that works, great. But if that does not work, respect that. Your knees don't like to bend that way. You can take those 2 blocks in what I call butt cheek configuration and have a seat upon them. And sitting on those blocks, put the bottom of your feet together So sitting on the blocks with the bottom of your feet together, lift and separate, widen things out. You can come into this alternative pose, Baddha Konasana. Otherwise, if you're still hanging out in that squat, good for you. Squatting is very good for your hips and lower back. Shoulders are away from your ears. Taking nice deep breaths. While you hang out here in the squat or in your Baddha Konasana, taking those deep belly breaths, you can play around putting the backs of your hands together, drawing your wrist down level with your elbows, making sure your shoulders are away from your ears, pushing the backs of your thumbs together, getting a lovely wrist stretch. And then release. All right, let's come on down. Oh, there's blocks there. Come on down to the ground. And we'll finish like we started. And put that pillow underneath your head. Put your head on the pillow. Take your feet as wide apart as your mat. Turn your toes in. Let your knees lean together. Place your hands down low on your belly. Take a nice deep belly breath. And exhale. Inhaling, big belly breath. And exhale, maybe yawn. Again, big inhale. And as you exhale, maybe yawn. Stretch one leg out, stretch both legs out. Let your legs fall open. Let your arms come down by your sides. Turn your palms open. Let each breath be a big sigh, a big yawn of relief.